Good morning, you guys, and welcome to a special bonus episode of The Rope of Hope. Today, I have an amazing guest on with me, and I'm going to tell you about her in a minute. But before we do that, you guys, there is some tea coming up. I cannot make announcements yet, but there's some big stuff that's going to be coming up, some big things that are going to be happening for this podcast and for my other podcast. If you want to be a part of it, you want to help support that, and you want access to supporter only content, then all you have to do is go to buymeacoffee.com/ this fat girl life. It's $5 to buy a coffee. That's cheaper than what you get. It's cheaper than what I spend at Dutch Brothers, but it's still worth it. And you guys know I live off caffeine. That's the only way I function. So buymeacoffee.com/ this fat girl life. So today I am joined by none other than TikTok's Mama Cass, Cassandra. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. Good.
So today we are going to be talking about your story. And I know you just celebrated 10 months of sobriety.
Yeah.
So I want to say
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you
That
so
is
much.
huge.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
before we get into your story, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a 33-year-old mother. I have two children. Jaden is going to be 15 October. No, Jaden will be 15 September 13th. And my daughter, Cedar, she's 2. She will be, her birthday is on March 31st. So sorry, I was like, wait, when she'll be how old? So yeah, I live in Grand Ledge, Michigan. I'm getting married on September 10th, so that's about 2.5 weeks away. Yes. So yeah.
Well, you are going to notice if you look on your screen, you should see comments. If anybody's watching and the comments come in, we will be sharing those. But John says,
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'm going to kind of let you guide this as far as sharing your story.
Okay. So I guess this story is kind of about just like recovery and I guess my point in telling it is just for others out there to have hope that you can come out the other side from anything. Anything is possible. Oh, congratulations about the marriage. Oh, thank you, John. So I guess my story kind of starts young. I started rebelling at a very young age. I was about 11. The very first time I took a drink, I was 11 years old. And I remember it to this day. I laid back and felt that buzz, and I was looking up in the trees, and I fell in love. It was pretty clear early on that the allergy to alcohol acted pretty quickly with me. So from 11, I started getting in trouble. And then by the time I was 12 years old, I actually ended up in the juvenile system just because, fighting and not being able to behave and, drinking and making really bad decisions. My mom, unfortunately, she was a single mother of 2 children. She had no help as far as keeping me safe and out of trouble. So I think she felt that was her only option, is to put me in the juvenile system. So my first program was called a day treatment program. I would get to come home at night, but I had a tether on my ankle. So I couldn't leave the house. I would do groups there. I stayed there probably for about a year. I was only supposed to be there, I think, for it was 7 months. But I had quite the mouth on me back, when I was a teenager.
No. No.
I know,
not you.
But so I actually ended up failing that program, and they actually ended up putting me in juvie, child jail. Where I stayed there for 8 months. and then until they were kind of deciding what to do with me. In the midst of being in between programs, when I was able to go home, I was raped by four men. I was 14 years old. 3 of those men were grown. So that kind of played into my spiral of just bad behavior, rebelling more. When I was in juvie and I told the staff members kind of what had happened, they told my mom, because I hadn't told anybody. They ended up telling my mom, and my mom was like, okay, like, I'm worried for her. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep her safe clearly. I can't control what she does. She's going to have people in my house. Because I hung out with very bad people. So she ended up sending me and choosing a place called Boys and Girls Town in Nebraska, Omaha. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yes, I have, actually.
I got sent there, which I feel like, and this isn't, I'm not gonna highlight on this, but I feel like that place plays a lot more into my trauma, and we're just gonna leave it at that. So I was there for about 4 months. I kept running away, and they finally brought me back to Michigan, where I stayed in that program until I was 16 years old. I finally one day just said, you know what, I'm not going to do this. Like, I don't want to live my life in a cell. And so I worked the program, got out when I was 16 years old, but my trouble was far from over. I got out when I was 16 years old, continued drinking, continued partying. Never have I been in trouble with the law as an adult, just because I guess I should say I wasn't caught doing horrible things. Do you know what I mean?
I completely understand. I think any person who deals with addiction who has evaded getting in trouble is because they just didn't get caught. And they were lucky.
Absolutely. So I got out, very quickly met a man. He was from North Carolina. I'm not going to say his name just in case his family watches, just out of respect for them. That is my father's child, my firstborn, Jaden. He was, a bad boy. I was attracted to it. I left when I was 17. I left and went to North Carolina to live and be with him. And it was a horrible, abusive relationship. And when I say physically abusive, I mean black eyes, bloody lips, passing out from being choked, knife in my throat. It was awful. And then the last bout of that, him being physically abusive, almost killed me. And he landed himself in jail and then went to prison. After that traumatic relationship, I started turning to drugs. Meth became my drug of choice. I became very addicted very quickly. My addiction to meth only lasted for about 2 years, though. I was fortunate enough to kind of get a quick wake-up call and check myself into rehab. And I've been clean off of that for 9 years now.
That's amazing. Because I actually heard a statistic yesterday. And it was when I did a podcast for somebody else. And they were saying out of all the people, the men and women that use meth, only about 25% are able to successfully get off the drug.
Yeah.
So congratulations for being part of that 25%.
Thank you. Yeah, it was awful. I mean, just 2 years. I couldn't imagine people that have done it for 10, 15. Just 2 years. My skin started looking horrible. My hair was falling out. It was bad. But so I went to rehab, got off of that. But alcohol still remained a very close friend of mine. I didn't want to admit I was an alcoholic because I didn't drink every single day and I wasn't like craving it when I didn't have it, if that makes sense, because
Mm-hmm.
like I did with me. So I was like, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't crave it like um, experiences after, proved that I was. It doesn't matter if you're drinking, alcoholism comes in many forms. You can drink every day. You can drink 3-4 times a week like I did. But it's the allergy. Like I said, there's no cutoff. Once it hits my system, I can't just have one. I had to drink to excess and be blackout to the point where I would be making horrible decisions. It became problematic. So I get clean off of meth. Still drinking, still trying to find my way. Got in another relationship that was very verbally abusive. He was I should say physical too, because there was one physical altercation. That only lasted about a year and a half, and I got out of that. And then fast forward a little bit more, and I met John, the man who I'm marrying. Was still drinking, was still making bad choices while drinking. When I say bad choices, I mean like infidelity was never a thing with me. I've never cheated on anybody I've ever been with. I just want to make that clear. I don't know why I feel like I need to say that, but
Because it's a common choice that is made. So I applaud you for not making that choice.
Yes. I've never, ever been unfaithful. When I say bad choices, I mean like just being selfish and not taking his feelings into consideration, staying out till 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning when we have kids that we need to take care of the next day. Just not being the best mom that I could be to my kids because I was hungover all the time. So John kind of played a part in my sobriety, a huge part, because I almost lost him. He straight up said, I can't do this. I cannot. And we cried. He was like, I love you. I can't live my life like this. If you're not going to get sober, I can't force you to, but I can't stay. And I don't blame him.
So John was not drinking.
No, John's not a drinker.
Okay.
He might drink once in a great while, but he is not a drinker now.
Okay.
So I had a decision to make.
So
and I made a decision to get sober.
When you made that decision to get sober, how did that process look? Was it a rehab? Was it meetings? Was it just cold turkey? I'm done. You hold my hand through this. All of the above.
So I guess I should back up a little bit. There were many times where I told John I wasn't going to drink anymore. I was like, okay, I'm done, because we had been in many fights because of my drinking. The last bout was horrible. I guess I should kind of touch on that. He was at a bachelor party way out of town. I decided to go have drinks. My kids weren't home. My kids were with their the grandparents. I decided to go to my friends and have drinks, and we went to the bar, and then we came home and went to our neighbor's house. They had a bonfire, just chill. And it was only about 10:30. Anna went home to go to bed, but me being the alcoholic that I am, I was not ready to stop partying, and I got behind the wheel and I drove. Tried to drive back home on a drive that I have driven hundreds of times, and I got lost 20 minutes in the opposite direction of my home because I was so intoxicated. And my phone was dead. So by the time I had left Anna, I didn't tell her I was leaving. I snuck out. She then gets a hold of John, who was out of town on a bachelor party, and says, hey, Cassandra took off. Her phone's dead. I can't get a hold of her. She was wasted when she left. So then that leads to John posting something on Facebook to see if anybody had seen me. It was mortifying. That was my wake up call, I think, too. Just like, what am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? So that was when he said, like, I can't do this. I can't do it. And like I said, I didn't blame him. But that in there is when I said, okay, let's do this. And that was cold turkey, AA, lots of support from him, lots of support from my sponsor. And that was almost 11 months ago.
So how do you feel now? Are you still dealing with those, the craving every once in a while, or has that pretty
It's
much
not so
gone
much
away?
that part's gone away. The thing that I struggled with, the thing I struggled with was the forever part. That overwhelmed me. Like, I was like, I can't ever drink again. That's why it's so important. And AA was such a great tool for me. The one day at a time. Don't think about forever. Think about today and what you're going to do to get through today. And that really helped me in my mindset. Like, okay, it's not so overwhelming when I think about it like that. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Nobody does. But I know what's going to happen today, and I'm in control of today.
And I've heard that. I'll be honest. I've never done an NA meeting. Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
NA wasn't part of the rehab that I went through. But I've heard that from other people who have done AA of, that forever can become extremely overwhelming, and that's what knocks you down. But when you take it just with that increment of one day at a time, it makes it so much more manageable.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it is. So, I mean, yeah, I have days where I'm like, God, there are things that trigger me. But I'm very diligent in keeping myself out of situations that might trigger me. I recently slowly started introducing myself into situations where there's alcohol, and I've been doing very, very well. So as far as, it's always going to be in the back of my head, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict. It's always be there. I just feel like I've overcome so much that I'm going to be okay.
Well, and
I've had to come
I know
it.
for myself, I'm in a situation now, I've shared my story. I think I've shared it with you even. I spent 8 years addicted to meth and Dilaudid, which is a very strong painkiller. Like, very strong. Yep. And now I'm got 7 years clean, but I have permanent nerve damage in my leg. So I am prescribed low dose pain medication. And I've gotten myself to the point for accountability, just for my own sanity, that I won't even take pain medication until I can tell my husband that I'm doing it. Do you find yourself holding yourself accountable in any ways like that?
Yeah, well, so it's funny that you say that. We were just cleaning out our medicine cabinet, and there's muscle relaxers in there, which muscle relaxers aren't really but I mean, you can abuse them if you want to. You know what I meant?
Yes,
and I came across it. Yeah. And I came across it, and I just said, like, babe, are you going to ever use these? Because I'd just rather throw them away. You know what I mean? So I am very good at holding myself accountable, because I know that just things like that cannot be in the house, So yeah, as far as, I think we've got a good handle on that. We've got a good system going on.
And that is hugely important. Having that support that's right there. It's great to have the sponsor, to have, the group, all that, but having that partner that is there to hold your hand through it, and that you can go to and say, hey, you know what? This is the day that I am struggling. I can't do this. And they're, in essence, there to help pick you up and keep you strong. I couldn't do it without having that.
Same. I think John has, and I hope he knows this, and I think he does, but he is just when they say better half, like, he is just my better half, we are each other's like biggest cheerleaders, if that makes sense. Like when one of us
I
is
use
feeling
that
down
all
about
the time.
something, yeah. When one of us is feeling down about something, we're both there to be like, okay, nope. Like we're gonna kick it in the ass. Like we've got this. Look at what we've done. This. We're gonna get through this too. And John and I
Yep.
are at the best place we've ever been in our relationship. We knock on wood, but we barely even fight right now. And it's important too. I want people to know we had to go to counseling, and we still continue to do that just to navigate through all of these things, you know, and learn how to process things, especially with me not drinking, you know what I mean? Him understanding, loving it, you know what I mean? And I just think that's so beneficial for everybody. I just feel like every couple should be in counseling, even if you don't think you need it. Go to counseling, because it was such a saving grace for us. And we were just there yesterday, and I was teary-eyed. You know, Randall, we've come very close with him. He's our counselor. You know, he was saying like, "Man, you guys are my people." You know what I mean? Like we've all just a really good dynamic with each other. Yeah, we're doing very well right now.
That's a good thing since you're marrying him. You know, you want to be doing well if you're going to marry him.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So now
yep.
you've taken to TikTok, and you have the funny stuff that you do, but I've noticed that you're doing a lot more of the serious, you know, sharing things about your past that, you know, so somebody else can relate to that. Was that very intentional, or did it just kind of happen?
I think it just started happening because I did not think that my followers were going to become such an important part of my life. And in a sense, felt like maybe I owed that to them, to give them that. Because, you know, I own on TikTok for being very real and honest. And I'm like, how can I be real and honest if I'm not real and honest about my past with them? And what makes me who I am today, and why I am the way I am today. And, so it was not intentional. It just kind of started coming out. And I'm glad it did, though, because it's, as much as they say that they're appreciative, I'm going to get emotional. As much as they say that they appreciate me, I appreciate and love them so much more because it's therapeutic for me to talk and reach out to people. And it's an amazing thing.
I completely understand.
Badass following, babe.
I don't have near the following that you have. I don't think I've been on TikTok as long as you have, though. Like, when I first started, I didn't do anything. I just started getting into, like, really making myself vulnerable. You know, you commented on one of my videos last night of the dance, and I don't dance well. I dance like a white girl. You know, I do the Carlton.
Oh,
I own that. So I'm really kind of pushing those limits, you know, and making myself vulnerable. But I'm noticing as well, you know, the more vulnerable I get, the more support I get. You know, when I did the photo shoot and the video in the bikini, I fully was expecting.
Yeah.
I was so fully expecting some of those hate comments. Not one. Not one.
I know.
And
it's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm trying to follow suit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a beautiful person. I can tell you have a beautiful heart.
Oh.
And that shines through. You know, I think I'm a pretty good judge of character. as far as people. And I just, that's why I decided to do this with you. Cause I was like, obviously watching your stuff, getting to know you, talking to you, and you're good people. So.
Oh, thank you. So are you. Well, you guys, that is it for today. Cassandra, I want to thank you so much for coming on and being so completely vulnerable and transparent and sharing your story. I do have one final question for you, and I ask this of all of my guests. What is the most inspiring thing that has ever been said to you?
There's so many. There really are. I think honestly, and this is something that I say a lot to my followers, and it just sticks with you, and it's kind of cliche, but it is, you alone are in charge of your own happiness. No one else can do that.
I absolutely love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And with your permission, I'm actually going to make a post of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that, and it's just so true. You can make all the excuses you do, drag your feet, cry, but you alone are in charge in taking those steps to be a happy person. So.
Well, again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. You guys, I have so many episodes that I am doing today. Cassandra was just the start. At 12 o'clock, I'm going to be on Big Beautiful Badasses. That's at 1 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, I'm going to have Amanda Love on, and she's going to talk about living with fibromyalgia. At 5 o'clock, I have Tasha W. coming on, and she's going to talk about losing her father at the age of 17 and subsequent traumas that she dealt with. And then at 7 o'clock, I have a guest who is a child's author who writes about body positivity. So it is a day full of podcasts today. This was just the start. Make sure you're tuning in. You can find all of them on this Fat Girl Life page and on the individual pages. I will be streaming them all live to YouTube as well. So it's going to take a whole lot of coffee, you guys. Remember, buymeacoffee.com/this Fat Girl Life. That is how you can help support this broadcast and all of my other broadcasts. You can help me take this to a national level because there is some potential there. Again, I can't get into all the details yet, but I'm going to be telling you guys some stuff, and that's where you're going to find it first. So make sure to tune in. You guys, I love you. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you later.